right hand, sorry, right up to the finish of that posture. So the hand goes from here, still releasing, still releasing, still releasing, still releasing, released. Now it's ready to go into another yin-shaped hand, you see. But there is one more error, of course, which leads me into this other error. When you hold the ball, so your centers must be aligned. So when you're practicing brush knee twist step, for instance, this applies to every posture you do. If I were to go like this, broken center, straight away, I've broken my center. Nothing here. The Chinese call this your garden, and you must protect it. The only way to protect it is to have your centers aligned. When your centers are aligned, you get a constant flow of energy within your body. The movement emulates the flow of energy. And when the movement emulates the flow of energy, the energy moves. You have a high quality of movement of energy within your body, and so on and so on. It helps each other up the ladder. So if I were to do this, like what most people teach you, you've lost your center straight away. So this posture, in order to keep my palm and wrist in my center here, all I'm going to do with this right hand, Tai Chi is deceptive. It looks like you're doing something different or something more than what you really are. All the right hand does is this. See, it hasn't left my center. It looks like it's leaving my center because of the turning of the body. It's the waist that makes the hands move and turn. So from here, if I step out to the left and start turning my body as my right hand rotates, you see, it starts there, you see. See how it's already moved forward. There's no going back in Tai Chi. It's a self-defense art. We go forward all the time. In the power, I mean. You often step backwards, of course, but we're talking about the power. So this move here, see, it's coming forward with the turning of the waist, not doing the feet correctly yet, and then releases. So from here, even if I do this, wrong. It's moved back a little bit from that position. So it must straight away be attached to your center and your waist. And as soon as the movement starts happening, you see, it's starting to come forward. And as I place my heel even, notice that the waist is still slightly out to the right, so that I can get that Fa Jing movement now with the waist turning, and as the waist comes around, the foot drags, and the energy releases. You could not possibly, the whole motor of Tai Chi is Fa Jing. Fa Jing is explosive energy, the self-defense part of Tai Chi. You could not possibly get an explosive movement, for instance, doing this. There's no possible way you can do that. That's a karate type of movement. But you can get a self-defense move by doing this, by attaching your wrists to your center and then moving your waist violently, like so. Bah! You see how the waist drags the hand. Bah! And there's a Fa Jing shake on the end of it. That's what Fa Jing is all about. Thank you, Sand. Okay, so let's get back to some very basics of structure and movement. First of all, the tongue must be resting on your hard palate, like you're saying the letter L. Just a But that's just natural anyway. The teeth are not clenched, they're just naturally a little bit apart. The lips are closed, and you're breathing in and out of your nose. That's natural breathing. There are three main breathing methods. Natural, which is what we use for the most part in Tai Chi. Healing breath, or a tonic breath, when you want to recuperate from an illness or something, and you will do it when you're standing in your normal three-circle standing Qigong posture, is when you breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose. A cleansing breath, for instance after a fast or something like that, is when you breathe in your nose and out your mouth. But for the most part it's in and out your nose. The chin is held such that it's not like this, neither is it like this. It's just, the chin is just, see the difference? That's normally standing. As soon as you do that, you can feel something up here through the gallbladder 20 points, which is a part of your center. That is called raising the chi up the back. So you just in very light. You don't do it too much, you'll give yourself a headache. You just pull it in. That tends to pull the backbone up and straighten your backbone up internally, just lightly. You never ever do anything to extremes. Now once you start your Taiji form, by the way, your Taiji form should be start with straight legs, never with bent legs. After you get to this movement, that's when you bend your knees, and they're bent for the whole form until you finish. So when you have your knees bent, it's natural. See how I've got a sway back here, my bum is slightly protruding. When I bend my knees down, the bum just tucks under, just gently. Just tucks under, just like that. But this is incorrect. And this is incorrect. Just naturally, see there's a little bit of sway there. As soon as I bend my knees, see the backbone just becomes a little rounded, or in other words, it goes straight. There's no sway. If you're lying on the ground, you could not put your hand through there. That's the way the whole Taiji form goes. It gets a little bit difficult, however, when you get to what's called a bow stance, which is the most common stance in your Taiji. And this is how you tell if you're doing a correct bow stance. And this is why Taiji is difficult. Most people tend to do a bow stance and try and alleviate the difficulty of that movement by doing things like this. Either I can turn my waist to the right. Now I'm not feeling any tension in my right quad. This is called a quad at all, the inside of my right thigh. Or I can simply stick my bum out, and that alleviates the tension here. But you should have tension here. Every Taiji movement is related to a healing application, healing a different organ in your body. And so we must have these gentle stretches and pulls of the meridians in order to activate that healing process. And so your bow stance, your hips must be flat on to the front with your shoulders. Your nose is pointing to where your coccyx is pointing. And your backbone is straight, tucked under. In which case you're going to get a pulling sensation down here. It won't feel absolutely pleasant, but that's the way it should be. That's another big mistake people make. They tend to do form like, single whip's different, by the way. It's not a bow stance. They tend to do it like that, or with their bum stuck out, in order to make it easier for themselves. So the bum is tucked under, straight back, and your hips are onto the front. So I can feel a pulling in here right now. That will never get easy. It will be with you for the rest of your life, but it should be. Chin pulled in, of course. Your crown should be, if you cut a straight line through your body, should come to here. That's the center of your body right there. That's where your weight should be centered. Not particularly on the heel, just where the heel ends here. That's where your crown should go through when you're practicing. I think if you practice those few things to start with, I think you'll find that your form will increase tenfold. Remember to keep your wrists. There's always a wrist somewhere in your center, except for movements like this. Well, this wrist is in your center at that point anyway. Usually there's a wrist somewhere in your center. And we'll get on to the hands changing yin and yang later, because it is quite complicated. But for the beginning, those few classics that I've just told you should be sufficient. Thank you.